Already part two. So we're at number 6 here. Keep in mind these are consensus rankings average between all of us. So we have Brian 6. Um, I just want to say I was the only person who put you top 5, Brian. The league thinks you're slipping. So I figured I'd talk about you. I think your team still has some home run hitting potential here. I mean, McCaffrey, when healthy, still top 3 running back. Mixon should be pretty decent again this year. Tyreek Hill's come out and said he wants to get 2,000 yards this year. He had a great year last year. I think he still has a chance to pop off. Ridley's a little risky. I mean, we don't know what's coming out here, but if he really is Trevor Lawrence's favorite target, he's going to be a good wide receiver 2 for you. Kelsey's the undisputed tight end 1. I think Montgomery probably has a little bit more of a down year. He's got better competition in Detroit, and he still has that injury risk. Sutton and Juju are probably your lower half. Your depth here is where it gets you, I think. I mean, Sutton and Juju are kind of weak in terms of fluxes when you look around the league here. Again, I mean, I think their projections are a little high. You really think Juju's getting 15 points a game? I'm not really sure about that one. And then when you just scroll down, I mean, your depth here, I mean, we know you love Patterson, but
Patty,
it's pretty much just a lot of backup guys at this point. Patterson, if we can zoom into the face, I mean, that's something we haven't seen in a while. But I think he has even more competition than he used to have. He's another year older. Algier was your first rounder last year. He's obviously getting pushed down by Bijan. Even though he had a great rookie year. Michael Gallup too, decent, but now he's getting pushed by Brandon Cooks. Your draft was decent though. I mean, Quentin Johnson has potential to really pop off, and he probably fell a little later than he should have in that draft.
He really fell at number 5.
He's got well, where he was ranked, right? But and I mean, Hugo can attest to it. Herbert's gonna throw the ball a lot. And then I mean, Kendre Miller, if Kamara gets suspended or just gets hurt, he's got a potential to by the end of the year be a top back. So I think the other thing too, just briefly to touch upon trade wise, is he made that last minute trade with Dylan for Alex's 2025 first for basically Max Mayer and a couple thirds and fourths. I think Brian wins that one handedly. That's a sneaky like best deal of the day for the draft. I mean, that's a potential to be a top 5 pick in 2025 for, like we already talked about it, but Dylan's like backup tight end and a couple thirds and fourths. So
I think Coco should count his lucky stars every day. Every night he goes to bed having those first round picks, because I see Coco's team. We're going to start talking about Coco's team the way that we started talking about Brendan's team like 2-3 years ago, that there's nothing coming up the pipeline right now on his team. And his veterans are just going to go off a cliff one day and age out. And so he's lucky he has those picks in order to start getting some younger players on his roster.
yeah, he definitely has bottom off potential, but I mean, this is a team that was also in the championship last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's
still a good team. I think he could fight for playoffs for sure. But it's like in 2 years, I think we're going to be talking about Coco's team like in a whole different light.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar to what Steve said. Like the Sutton and Juju part of the lineup, and honestly David Montgomery too. That's where I had my concerns for Brian, and that's why he kind of fell a little bit lower on the ranking in my eyes. But he's got great draft picks in 2025. I mean, he's got Alex's and Brennan's. You know, those could be good. Speaking specifically about Brennan's, but you know, he's got an older team, Brian. So that's kind of my concern. When injuries happen, and eventually they will, this is where I kind of get scared looking at Brian's team. But I think the depth is lacking a little bit. But the top part of the lineup is great for the start of the year here.
It's my week 1 opponent.
I agree. I think his starting lineup, aside from his flexes, are all pretty safe fits. So maybe not Ridley. I don't know what's going to happen with. I mean, I'm sure he'll be fine, but we're going to get Ridley of like.
Is that a new questionable, by the way?
Yep, I think so.
What's he questionable with? What's he limited from?
Can't see this. Let's chat here.
Or it doesn't even really tell you. But I mean, is a concern, right? I mean, he hasn't played competitive football in 2 years. he can say, I know he can be working out, doing this and that, but he definitely has higher injury potential than most with him not being in game shape for 2 years. So something to watch out for.
His quarterback's interesting too. Jones had number 9 quarterback last year. I can't see him finishing higher than that any given year, so it might have
Pipe dream.
peaked out there.
Yeah, I think more likely that he's on the lower side this next year.
Regression for the whole team.
Yeah. But it's Brian. And then we got, is you guys anything else from Brian's team there?
I think that touches it.
All right. We got at number 5 here. We got none other than our favorite owner in the league here, Hugo.
Thank you. That
That
means a
goes your
lot,
team.
dude.
So yeah, I'll start off. You know, I personally I like your team, Hugo. I had you at 5 or 4. Where have you? Either way, you're definitely a contender this year. I like Hurts a lot. Obviously, you traded for him. I still don't know if it was necessary for you because you have Herbert on the bench too, so you feel safe with your quarterback situation there for a long time. I like Stevenson a lot. For you, I hope he, turns into the star that I think he's gonna be. It definitely hurt, giving him to you and seeing how good he is, but so yeah, but you better hope they don't bring in like Zeke or something. It sounds like they're gonna bring in Zeke. So Aaron Jones kind of on his definitely on his back 9. He'll still be a productive fantasy player for you
Still
though for
producing.
another year. Yeah. You just traded for Cup. Thought you got him pretty cheap, so that was well done there. I still think he's top 5 receiver potential in the league, if he's healthy, but that's a big if now. I feel like he's got that injury prone label on him. AJ Brown, obviously coming out number 4 receiver last year, coming off of probably his biggest year, meshed well with Hurts, so that's exciting for you, especially as an Eagles fan too. I like this trade for Freiermuth. I think it made sense for both of you guys. I think Alex probably could have got a little more for him, but since he has Hawkinson, I don't know if he wants to go with double tight ends, so it made sense for him. And then you definitely could have used some depth at tight end, and that puts him into an instant starter position for you too. Because I think who's your other tight ends here? Yeah, you got
I love Chig, man.
Chig. He's probably the next
Potential's
best.
there.
And then Irv Smith, I'm not too excited about them. Potential's there, I guess, but
Depth
yeah,
pieces
depth.
for
It
sure.
was a good depth
Is-
move, and you got an instant starter at tight end. He had a really good year last year as far as tight ends go. At least it's number 11's not bad. Only going to get better. He's still young. Waddle's obviously one of the most exciting, young players in the league. Right up there with Hill as far as speed goes, and has proven he's elite. Consistently finishing the past 2 years here, top 10. T Higgins too, another exciting piece. This is a contract year for him too, so he's probably gonna
Ball
pop
out.
off. Yeah, and then who knows where he goes next. If he goes anywhere else, he's probably gonna be a number 1 receiver if he doesn't stay in Cincy. Connor, should have another good year of production for you here. He's definitely on his way out though. I think soon here. I'm thinking that rookie behind him might step in, get some touches, and emerge maybe this year or next year. But still somebody you can confidently start every week. Mostert's, man, I'm sure you're not too excited about him either. Williams, big question mark. If he's good, if he's, Javonte Williams' rookie year, I think that's exciting. But we'll see. We'll see what that whole situation looks like.
Javante's definitely the biggest question mark on my team.
Yeah, but if he pays off, or if he hits like he did a couple of years ago, then that's going to definitely be a difference maker for you in the playoff push. You traded for Evans. I gave him to you. Didn't really want anything to do with the Bucks receiver situation this year, so that's why I moved him. But I still think he's 1,000-yard receiver safely. He's maybe not. I don't know if Baker throwing him maybe, but he'll at least get close to that. I don't know how many touchdowns he's going to get. Ayuk's exciting as well. So you got depth. You got a lot of depth. Don't really care for Mooney more. I kind of like Dobbs, but but
I think Matt's got a big hard on for Hugo's team. I'm worried about what's going on.
You're
behind
very
the scenes
nice,
after
Matt.
this meeting.
You're very
Dude,
nice.
We're
this is
in deep on Hugo's team at this point. I think to sum it up,
he's
Matt
got a lot
made
of
some
depth.
good points. I think the depth is the biggest part of his team. I mean, you could look at
That's
his
the best part of
bench
his team.
here. And I think his bench honestly is arguably the same talent as Brendan's starting lineup. I mean, you have
Put some respect on my
yeah,
bench, please.
you have Evans. I mean, Warren too, if he's gonna carve into Najee. Ford's the RB2, could play the Hunt role. There's just a lot of potential on the bench. I would say the only boomer bust, like the riskiness about his starting lineup is, I mean, you're banking on Jalen's last year to be his every year. And if he were to get hurt, it's going to affect Brown's potential too. Aaron Jones, a little bit of an uncertainty with Jordan Love now, or they're just going to stack that box. So I don't know if everybody's going to have a repeat year as last year, but if they do, it's obviously a top 5 team.
Yeah, what I'll say about my team real quick is it's so interchangeable. I feel like I could start a different lineup every single week. Like I'm not the type of team that has like only one lineup and that's like my best. Like if I'm playing a tough defense one week, like I could switch Herbert in and out with Hurts. Like very interchangeable. You could play anytime.
You know what the tough part about that is though? It's like there's nothing worse. Maybe you guys can agree in fantasy if you have the guy on your bench that popped off and you started the wrong one. I'd almost
Yes.
just ride or die by your guy, and it's like he does good or not versus like fuck, this guy really popped off and I started the wrong one.
Yeah. And I know, I do like Hugo's team. We're getting into like the top 5 teams here now. So these are like the big teams, and Hugo's definitely one of them, I think. One thing I've done a big, you don't have many picks in the future. You have, obviously your first, second, next year, but you don't have first or second in 24. So, but there's a reason for that. You traded for a bunch of, win now players and, some good depth players. So, yeah, I think this is a contender team. Definitely up there with the best of them. I'm surprised you finished 9th last year, honestly, with the roster you had. I think you just had a little bit of bad luck, which happens.
Unluckiest performance of all time.
Worked out in Steve's favor with his picks, but we'll move on.
We're moving on.
Hugo's in win now mode.
Absolutely.
Yep. Next here we got Marty, and we're gonna let Hugo take the wheel here and talk about Marty's team a bit.
Morty. Biggest question, obviously, Joe Burrow, dude. I hope he's healthy. I've been known to be a quarterback whore, and just quarterback play around the league turns me on, dude. And not having Joe Burrow, personally, it hurts me. With T. Higgins, it'll hurt Jorge with Jamar Chase, but this whole offense in general, it'll hurt everyone. So I hope he's nice and healthy. But I love your trade for Eckler. I think you made the right choice trading a first for him, and Brendan had to sell him like now. So you guys reaching an agreement for that, I think helps both of you, because Eckler and Saquon every week is going to be very scary to play at Marty. So I think you have a good job there. Obviously you have a win now roster as well. I think your starting lineup is loaded, dude. You got guys that could pop off and have like RB1, tight end 1, wide receiver 1 type numbers. So I just think this is a win now team as well. Just Joe Burrow is going to be in control of that though. So I think you're going to live and die by Joe Burrow. I don't know what you're doing with Anthony Richardson on your taxi squad, but I love the draft pick that you made. But I think Breece Hall as well. You better hope Dalvin Cook doesn't go there. I know Steve. Can we get a report from Jets training camp on will Dalvin be signing?
It looks like it, man. I mean, I've never seen a team have a player hang out at practice and do all that shit without signing him. So I think it's just like they're talking about the details. They asked the agent how the visit went, and he said, you'll see. So it just seems to me that he's going to sign there. I think if he signs there, he has flex value, especially where I don't think Breece is going to have the top 5 running back year this first year. Next year, I think Marty's right back in it with him, but I think this
Yeah,
year,
do you think so if they do sign Dalvin, it's most likely a 1-year deal, right?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, and Steve, you could probably attest to this as well. And obviously ACL injuries are a very serious part of football. So when you're coming off of them, I'm just going into this year really not going to be hoping for too much from Hall. And obviously, if he does have a great year, that's just a bonus for me there. But honestly, just going to hold on to him and just kind of ride out this year and kind of forget that he's on my lineup for the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with I'm trying to look it up now. I think, to be honest, with Breece Hall's injury, I'm pretty sure it was just the ACL. There wasn't anything else involved in it. Which bodes pretty well for him going forward. Usually when it's like meniscus and other stuff, there's a little more complications and you run into that. So having like a clean tear like that means that he's probably going to recover a little bit faster than others, especially with his like baseline athleticism. Like for example, J.K. Dobbins had more than just his ACL. He had meniscus and some other things going on. And you just see how that's going for him. So I think there's a better chance that he's going to be 100% when he's able to fully go. It's just a matter of when that's going to be. I don't know if it'll be the first quarter of the season, but he should be in a good spot. I think you're lucky to have Rodgers. Not lucky, obviously you've had him, but you're in a good spot with Rodgers being in a better situation than he was last year to take over for Burrow if that extends into the regular season.
Yeah, I'm a little invested in the Seattle offense right now, so
Big
hopefully
time.
that pans out well, but I guess time will tell.
Yeah, sometimes can be a concern, but that offense looks pretty good last year, and I don't know. I think you might should look at trading Lockett, but he definitely can help you win still. So, honestly, I think your honestly starting lineup aside, everything. Starting lineup is definitely looking good. I really can't say anything negative about your starting lineup. I just think your bench is a little could use work, I guess. I don't AJ Dillon, Mitchell, hopefully Dillon emerges soon here. I just haven't been impressed with him. I just traded for Van Jefferson with me, so hopefully he's gonna be good as a number 2 there. Davis, wasn't impressed with him last year. So as long as I think if Breece Hall comes back for you here, and I think you'll be safe. You'll still be your playoff team for sure. Yeah, definitely one of the better teams.
Top 3, boys. We've made it. We've made it. Who is number
Can we
3?
drum roll it? Can we drum roll it?
Go ahead, Steve. Go do the drum roll.
The bad drum.
All right, let's pull them up.
Surprise, it's
None other
Steve.
than Dr. Beaujolais.
Yeah, I can talk about Steve's team. Obviously one of the best teams in the league, in my opinion, just looking at the lineup here. Not only do I think you have a strong starting lineup, but you also have one of the younger lineups in the league right now, which is great in sleeper, obviously. Obviously Trevor Lawrence finished as a QB8 last year. So kind of surprising. I thought, that the wheels would be turning a little bit slower for Trevor just in that Jacksonville offense, but had a great year. Bijan obviously going to Atlanta. Sorry, Brian, but I think it's going to be the Bijan show. I think Algier is taking the back seat there. So Alex with his New Jersey will be rocking that pretty much all year. I think he's going to have a great year. King Henry finished as the running back 4 last year for you, Steve. So another strong piece. Obviously, he's getting kind of older, so we'll have to wait to see how that kind of slows him down a little bit more this year. I think he's going to be falling outside of the top 5, obviously, from last year, but still going to be one of the stronger running backs in the league. Garrett Wilson, the biggest regret for Hugo, trading that guy away, maybe.
Earmuffs,
Not at all,
Hugo.
dude.
Earmuffs.
Not at
Earmuffs.
all. Stop calling it a regret. That was a great trade for both of us at the time.
Yeah. Well, I think Garrett Wilson, I mean, now he's got Aaron Rodgers obviously throwing to him. I think he's going to be breaking the top 10 in the wide receiver group there. So great pick for Steve. DJ Moore, I mean, I like to call him the trade whore of the league. He's been a part of a lot of different teams. Now he's obviously on your team. Now part of Chicago. He's been pretty consistent on most teams that he's been on. So I don't know if he'll be a top 20 wide receiver. He finished 19 last year. I think he's probably going to be around like the 30s personally. But hopefully he can just keep that consistency train going. Kyle Pitts, I mean, he's going to be a top 10 tight end, so not really much to say there. Hopefully Ritter has a good year. Last year, obviously, there's a lot of trouble with the quarterback situation in Atlanta, so hopefully things can be a little bit more stable this year.
I think it's crazy Kyle Pitts is still 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, so young.
Christian Watson, obviously very young guy, a lot of uncertainty in Green Bay right now. I honestly am excited for Christian Watson. I wanted him in at least one of my leagues here, but never really got him. So I think he's got a lot of potential. But like I said, in Green Bay, there's a lot of uncertainty. I think they're going to be more of a run heavy offense next year. They have the talent for that. Najee, not too much to say there. He was a number 14 running back last year. I think that is probably going to be right around where he is again this year. Obviously, great to have. He's young, 25, still younger, but I think you're another consistent player on your team that you can rely on. And then I'll say this. I mean, you obviously you have Bijan, you got Jahmyr Gibbs now, so two young running backs that you're immediately plugging into your lineup. We'll see how things look in Detroit there, but overall, I think Steve, you have one of the stronger starting lineups, and looking at the bench too, there's you have a good amount of depth there. DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, some older veterans. Hopefully they can be plugged in on bye weeks and produce some points for you there. But overall, like I said, strong team, strong starting lineup, young team, a lot of pieces to build off of for the future.
Steve, can I get your take on how you feel trading for Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, I mean, for me, looking back, I mean, hindsight's 2020, right? Like if I had 2-0, where did I get 204 from? I'm trying to think about that, but at the time I didn't have 204, I don't think. So hindsight's 2020. If I had 201, I would have been able to probably take like Kincaid, who Vinny snagged, who I probably would have liked there. But my thought was, realistically, I mean, Trey Lance, we hope Brock Purdy's going to come back normal, and he had a good year last year, but at the same time, he was still a 7th round draft pick. And I mean, if he doesn't come back the same, they spent a ton of first for Lance. So I feel like I bought him at his lowest, like his stock can only go up, and people love trading for quarterbacks. So there's always a chance he can make something happen. And Dalvin, I knew he was probably going to get cut when I traded for him, but for me at that 201, it's like I could get a rookie that might not make a move, or Dalvin could, if he plays. I mean, Miami would have been a nice spot. He's still not signed yet, but I feel like he probably has at least flex potential. So it was worth the dart throw there for me. So he's obviously not going to be as good as he was last year. I don't think anyone's given him a job where he's going to get 1,000 yards, but he'll still be a nice little complimentary spot, I think.
All right, we good on Steve, guys?
Yeah, well done on the draft, Steve. And it's hard to mess up the 1 and 2 pick overall, but I think you had a great year to get those picks. So
Yeah, I like
Good.
the draft. Yeah, you got a lot of running backs. I think you got probably some of the more
Dude, you
interesting ones in the
stole
league
all
in
the
the
running
draft.
backs in the draft. I wasn't
Yeah.
happy about that.
I took a
like
lot
this
of
guy
them.
too.
Yeah, I think Bigsby has a chance to take over. I mean, they've been running
catch the ball too.
ETN into the ground a little bit, and I think the thing that like always goes unnoticed in like football in general is they had it like ETN got drafted by the Urban Meyer squad in Jacksonville, so Bigsby's more of Peterson's guy than ETN was. ETN was already there, so I just kind of took some running backs that have the potential to possibly get to like RB1 for their teams by the end of the year. Like Roschon's in kind of a wide open spot in Chicago, so it's one of those things. Any of these players could take off and give me another flex potential or trade potential.
Yeah, well done. Definitely a top squad here. So that was Steve at number 3. Next up, we got number 2, and that ended up being Jorge. You got Jorge at number 2 here. Pull him up. I'll kick us off here for Jorge. I personally, I had Jorge number 1, so personally think his starting lineup is by far the best in the league. I don't think you can go wrong with Josh Allen. Top 3 fantasy player probably. Ultimately, I don't know why this isn't loading. I can't even see his rank. Josh Jacobs obviously number 1 running back last year, or number 3 in PPR. Etienne, I know Steve was just kind of downplaying a little bit, but I still think he's he's definitely their guy, the starter right now, and played with Lawrence in college, so I still think there's a lot of value there. Definitely a great starter to have. Jefferson Chase, I mean, not much to say there. They're the 1 and 2 receivers in the league, probably 1 and 2 ranked dynasty players in general. If you do,
The
to do a
creme de la
startup league
creme.
there, yeah, that's his bread and butter there. That's gonna win him a championship if anything. These 5 guys right here, I think, and then he just traded for Darren Waller. With me, I'm not too confident anymore. Was concerned for his injuries and new situations, so I want to get rid of him. But he's a New York guy. He loves the Giants. I'm sure he's excited for Waller. He's probably going to come in as their number 1 receiver here, because who knows with who the hell is going to be the guy as far as their actual wide receivers go. Definitely the most promising, I think, as far as receivers go on that team. Cooper, you just traded for today, actually. I thought you gave up a little bit too much for Cooper. You'd obviously plug him in as an instant starter, though. So, definitely a win now move. Trading a 2024 first, I think, was a bit of a mistake. That draft's going to be hot. So I think Steve, could afford to move Cooper with his depth at receiver, and but nonetheless, still a good move if you're trying to win now, which he definitely is. Pittman he just traded for as well. Not as excited as for Pittman anymore with Richardson there. I think Richardson's going to have to run the ball a lot, and I don't know how their pass game is going to be. I know he's got a big arm and whatnot, so that'll definitely pay off for him. But rookie quarterback coming in, I think his value goes down a bit, but still, you can still start him. Pickens, I just traded to him. Has Kenny Pickett thrown to him, so and that's a crowded receiver group. So I think he has potential to emerge as the one there. So I think that that was a good trade for you too. You have a lot of youth at receiver aside from Cooper there in your starting lineup. So your team's looking good for a while, which is why I had you at number 1, at least for your starting lineup. Your depth is a little bit concerning. I think you did some good moves here in the draft. I think Penny, is going to be in a timeshare with Swift. He might end up getting hurt, but Carter, not too excited. Khalil Herbert's probably the starter there. So it's maybe another guy you can just plug in like a bye week or something, or if someone gets hurt. All these other guys, though, I'm not too excited about. You got your handcuff in White today with that Cooper trade, so that was good for you. Not much to say about Robert Woods, or this is another handcuff guy in Spears for Henry. So, but you don't have Henry. You also picked up Campbell in the draft. So just kind of there's definitely some guys that are probably going to emerge from your bench here, but I just don't see clear cut some clear cut guys yet. So we'll see what happens. But your starting lineup definitely outweighs your depth here, which is I think was your biggest strength. I think you may have the best starting lineup in the league. Comparable to Vince. And then you still got some good picks in the future here. You should have kept that first, but nonetheless, what are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you're saying. Jorge's starting lineup is one of the best in the league. Obviously, has some of the top sleeper assets in general. We talk a lot about depth in this league and this podcast in general. And, when the injury bug happens, I just think that's where Jorge's team might get heavily affected. So that's why I kind of had him ranked a little bit lower on mine. Obviously, starting lineup's great. If any of his top dogs go down, it's going to be a big hole, and that's my concern.
That's my only worry for Jorge too. He's
Yeah.
got the star-studded lineup, but short of quarterback going down, if he has any other position go down from his starting lineup, like this is what I was talking about. Like, not to talk about my own team, but this is the difference between Jorge and I's team. Like, I think I could take a hit at any position and be okay. Jorge would be in trouble. So that's why he's ranked higher than me. He has a better starting lineup. But if one of his guys go down, he's in trouble.
Yeah, I don't think he's in trouble. I think he's, if 1 or 2 guys goes down, he still has some guys on his bench he can plug in. I think if Penny's healthy, he can plug him in. Herbert. Receivers, though, I don't. He's got 5 receivers in his starting lineup right now. So who knows how he messes around with his flex position there. So I think he still has solid depth, at each position, just not like far depth, right?
Yeah, it's not exactly, Matt. You said it well.
So, but yeah, I think Jorge's in it to win this year. Definitely are top team in the league. I thought 1, but he landed at number 2 overall. But unless you guys have any other thoughts, we'll move on to the number 1 here.
See you week 2, Jorge.
7 minutes, guys. 7 minutes.
Yep, let's get this over with talking about he who shall not be named.
Yeah, and I'll let you take
to heaven.
since actually No, it's Steve. You're talking about Vince here. I was gonna say I was thinking Hugo was because he's his number one fan, but
We can all talk about it. We don't want to talk about what Hugo and Vinny are doing behind closed doors. But if you go to his team,
He's the
pull that
reigning
shit
champ.
up, pull that
He's the
shit up.
reigning champ.
That's the thing, no one's ahead of him until someone proves they're ahead of him, right? So
Yep.
when you look at the team, I mean, Miles Sanders, better situation. CeeDee Lamb, great. Adams, great. Lamar, I'm not really sure, but I mean, he's got the depth to recover from it. He's got the stack with Andrews. St. Brown is like low key one of the better players on his team. Great draft pick from a couple of years ago. He's just got some pretty good starters that are just consistent. He may not necessarily have the guys other than like an Adams or a Chubb that are going to get you like the 30-40. Like he may not have the guy or Lamb. He may not have the guys that are going to be like, wow, this guy's like the top scorer for the week. But he's going to have guys that are going to never really be lower than like 10 at their position.
Vinny's going to put up points every single week.
He's not like his floor is just higher than most of ours. So
and all of us.
I think that's
agree.
where he comes into. And then you look at his bench. I mean, Kamara is a really good bench option there to plug in. Pirine is a Javonte fill in. Madison should have a better year. I think his bench would probably be his one weak point in terms of can he turn his team over if injuries happen. But he also made some good deals this draft. I mean, you got Kincaid, who could start off pretty well. Jackson Smith supposedly the best wide receiver coming in, so he's got some options. I think he's still the team to beat for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
The
He's the
pick thing
champ.
makes me want to throw
This
up.
is what,
Holy
yeah, this is an
shit.
issue.
Yeah.
with
Holy
absolute
shit,
comment,
Jesus
guys.
Christ!
The-
Can we get that
I
off
see it
the
on a
Can we
big
screen?
get
screen
that
here.
off the screen?
Yeah.
Vinny just got an instant
5
hard on
first
looking at this.
rounders of the next
Th-
2 years. Jesus
this is
Christ.
Is
the
there any
most-
other numbers on there except for ones, dude? He has traded like every other pick aside from his
Literally
first.
public
Holy
service
shit.
announcement. Don't trade
Stop
with
it.
Vinny unless you're getting one of those picks,
He
which
literally
he
only has
refuses
first
to
round
sell.
picks next year.
Which he
Yeah.
refuses to sell. So, and I don't blame him. 3 of those are top 5 picks next year. That's just the reality of it. He's loaded. He will continue to be loaded. Literally, he's the number 1 team. He's the reigning champ. I want everything in my power to take him off this pedestal that he's on, and that's when I'll sleep at night when that happens.
Yeah, we can't let him win 2 in a row.
Or
Yeah.
3 in general.
And 3 in general. Yeah, literally 2 in a row, 3 in general. But, and I don't even want to call it a hot take, but can we just go on record? I have a great track record of personal guarantees, right? I personally guarantee Vinny does not win sleeper this year.
I don't know if that's true. You sent me a text last year that said
I-
the one of me, you, and Marty's missing the playoff, and the league is choosing you.
No,
Yeah, you-
I-
And you lost like 6 of your next like 8 games and got second
I
to
lost
last.
6 weeks in a
Those
row.
personal
It sucked.
guarantees aren't usually too hot, man.
Could there,
Yeah.
could there be some collusion coming up here? You're making a guarantee that someone doesn't win. You know,
Yeah,
trade
it's
with
just
people to make sure he doesn't.
I say no more, but we can't let Vinny continue to win.
Speaking of you, Hugo,
Yeah.
don't you and Steve have the tomato bet this year?
Big
I'm gonna have to
tomato
bring
bet.
that up again.
20 tomato tosses to whoever finishes a
Or
lot.
finishes. Yeah.
Finishes worse between the 2 of you, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm confident I'll get the job done.
You guys have 2 good teams. It's going to be interesting to see.
I feel okay if Hugo beats me out because I know he's fucking whiffing on almost all those tomato shots. If wiffle ball's any indication.
Yep, I think my team beat yours, Steve.
As long as Sean's not throwing, I mean, if Sean's throwing those tomatoes, he's missing every single one
Yeah.
based on wiffle ball.
I love how Coco was throwing the absolute heaters down the middle every single time.
He
Yeah,
put
just
his
load
fucking
up
heart
throws.
into it. That sprint into the pitcher's mound.
The
was so
sprint into the
intimidating.
pitcher's mound every time was laugh out loud funny.
Can't say the kid doesn't have heart.
So, this
Nice.
was fun, guys. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for letting me come on. I'm so excited for the year, dude. I can't wait for week 1. Coco, I'm gonna make you my bitch, dude. It's gonna be so much
Oh.
fun starting off week 1 against you with a win. Can't wait. I just beat at Coco in everything, and I love it.
What's
Yeah,
your
he just-
one bold
60 bucks
prediction,
off him.
Hugo, as our first guess?
Bold prediction. It's not that Vinny doesn't win the championship, but I think I don't think Jorge's gonna have as good of a year as he may think he is. That's
hope
my
so.
bold
I
prediction.
hope
I
that's
think
true.
he'll still make playoffs, but I think he'll be that like 4, 5, 6 seed rather than the 1, 2, 3.
You know, Brennan has said that he's made the playoffs every year. Does that trend continue this year?
No.
No
chance.
That's
chance.
not a bold statement to say he's not making
Yeah.
playoffs this year. This
My
is the
bold-
first year. Good
my
for him.
bold
First year though, but so
My bold prediction, it's only been like 3 years, dude. Don't give him too much credit. It doesn't
4.
cancel out all those last years in Yahoo. But my bold prediction is that the championship is going to be 2 teams that have never been in it before.
I like that, Steve.
I hope that's the case. I'm sick
Yeah.
of seeing Brian and Vincent there.
Yep. All right.
All right, we got a
Thank
minute
you,
left, so
everyone,
we'll
for
wrap it
tuning
up.
in.
Big hugs, little
Podcast
kisses.
2 in the books.
Hope you guys liked it.
Bye.
Goodbye.
ya.
Dynasty Daddy's out.